So, I mean, but really the reason we're all here, I know the reason that I'm here is that we're proud to now welcome to the show the man who made it possible for Galaxy fans to start believing in their club again, LA Galaxy General Manager Will Kuntz. Thank you so much for dropping by. Welcome to the show.
Gentlemen, how we doing? Thanks for having me.
Oh, man.
Welcome, Will. Yeah, we're honored to have you.
Ecstatic that you're here with us. You know, it's business end of the season. You know that. And really, since it is the business end of the season, hard hitting questions right off the bat. I got to throw them at you, right? So, number one, Dodgers or Yankees?
I mean, listen, I gotta go Yankees.
You know? Yeah, all right. You're a New York boy. Yeah. I had to figure.
I worked there for 10 years. You know, it's
right.
You don't get that out of your blood that easy.
We had to ask. So, we had to ask. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and then you're Brooklyn, you know. So I had a hunch that you were going to go Yankees, but street tacos in LA or a slice in Brooklyn.
Ooh.
I mean, it's different horses for different courses. I'm a slice joint guy, but don't get me wrong. Like, there's some birria out here that you just can't touch in New York, right? It's just different. Depends what you're into.
Yeah, birria, it is for sure. Well, there's been. I think I might have even asked you this, you know, off to the side, like, you know, just waiting around for stuff. But you have a couple of nicknames out there in the Galaxy sphere, but you also have nicknames from your times with the Yankees, right? So what's your favorite nickname? Yankees Whiz Kid, the Chef. I've also heard the Brooklynite. I don't know if you knew, but you have your own comic book out there.
I mean, listen, I was always more kid than whiz, and I'm a lot older than I used to be. So I don't know if whiz kid is applicable. Yeah, chef makes me hungry, right? And I am a Brooklynite, so look, I don't play favorites. Just don't believe the hype.
Okay. Well, I absolutely flipped when I saw that you had a comic book. If you guys want to check it out, it is floating around out there. Last one here. With these rapid fire questions, you are in a position as LA Galaxy general manager to make the big decisions, right? And you know the Galaxy have a long treasured history, big names throughout their history. If you could go back in time and sign one Galaxy great to the current team, who would it be?
Whew. I mean that's a good question, right? I mean, right off the bat, you think of like 6 names, right? You know, Cienfuegos, Kobe Jones, Robbie Keane, Landon Donovan, David Beckham, and I'm not even. I mean, I'm missing, you know, tons in between, right? So, yeah, I don't know if I had to pick one. Maybe just AJ De La Garza, because I feel like he's the people's champ, right? And you can't go wrong. No Juice fan is going to say anything if you call AJ, right? But I'm sure, like, you know, Omar Gonzalez is gonna let me know too if I say AJ, right? Like, it's right. You know, Mike McGee if you need a goalkeeper, you know, in the clutch. Right. Yeah, this question is there's no easy answer for it.
Yeah, I like all those choices though. Ananda himself, he probably would have gone with somebody like AJ, their fellow alumni. So
shout out Terps. There we go.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, since you're in this role, right? You presided over a Galaxy team that went undefeated at home, and we got to see you post match at the last game of the season at home, take the lap of honor with your family, right? And we know you're a young dad. We got to see you and enjoying with your family. What's the best part of being a young dad?
The best part of being a dad, I think, is just coming home, right? And you can even see, like, there's the stroller in the background. Yeah, just coming home every day, right? It's like you won the World Cup. It doesn't matter if it was a good day or a bad day. You know, you get to walk in the door, and then everything just switches over. And then now, you know, we really limit screen time, but you know, Evie knows that, like, you know, she can always watch football with Papi on TV. We always speak Spanish to our daughter, so she's like, "Oh yeah, Papi, pone football when I get back home." So now, like, she's watching games with me, and we're sitting together on the couch and bonding. But yeah, I think just coming in or waking up in the morning, it's the best.
No, I didn't know that that you guys spoke Spanish in the Kuntz household. Do you got a lot of Spanish under your belt?
Yeah, podemos, seguir en español si es más cómodo para ti.
Fire.
Así está.
Bueno, hay algo que has aprendido de ser papá que has podido llevar al mundo deportivo o como gerente del Galaxy.
Sí, como portarse con los jugadores, que a veces son lo mismo como mi hija. Las emociones están muy grandes. Cada día puede ser diferente así, pero
Exactamente.
para ser siempre tranquilo y nunca enojando por algo muy pequeño.
Me encanta. Well, I don't know if you know, but we're big into representation on this podcast. I love that you're speaking Spanish. This is a bilingual pod. This is your first full year as GM in MLS. How important is it to represent the Black community? You're one of the few Black executives in MLS. How important is that representation for you?
Yeah, it's massive, and for me, it's not. It's an opportunity, right? I think the biggest thing is that we have the luxury of being in one of the most diverse cities in the world, a super international city. We play the most sort of prevalent game in the whole world, and so anywhere you go in the world, traveling, people are going to know the game of football. It's a real opportunity, right? We can be different, and I think we should be different, and that is not just in the makeup of our front office or our staff. It's with our football teams, whether it's the first team or the academy. One of the things I think we can do a better job of, quite frankly, is getting out into some of the different neighborhoods in Los Angeles where we're maybe underrepresented in our academy, right, in our player development system, because there are a lot of areas of LA producing really, excellent athletic talent for basketball, American football teams, and I think that's one of our big charges, right? But I take it as a badge of honor, and I try to build diversity in everything we do, right? And that's really important, because the more diverse we are as a club, as a team, as an organization, the stronger we are.
And speaking of being strong, I mentioned a little bit earlier, undefeated at home this year. But that's something to hang your hat on. But is that perhaps maybe your proudest achievement in your 16 months as Galaxy GM?
Definitely. I think back to, I think it was late May last year when we had this kind of blow up with the fans and Victoria Block after a game, and totally understand why they were upset. Not any shade at them, but you think back to what the vibe was back then, and you flip it over to now, and it's night and day different. And one of the things that I think is I'm most proud of is the way our fans have responded to players that maybe they didn't know before they signed, right? But they see them on the pitch, they see what they give, how hard they compete, how much they care, and that resonates. And that was one of the big gambits I had coming in, was to say, look, we can do it in a different way. Right. As long as we have guys who are competitive, that make our fans proud, we'll be all right. And it's been so awesome to see the digs full, because my first year in MLS, it was 10 years ago, 2014, MLS Cup winning year. But the LA Galaxy across the stadium chant would send chills down your spine, right, to see the place rocking. And so I always knew what this place could be. And now to see the digs full and to see the fans loving it, and to see Mickey Yamane get, the Lars Player of the Year, to hear I go back to the first game when, there was a moment where, Joe took off for the first time, and it was like listening to like a wave in the crowd. You could hear it build as people got to see Joe take off. And later in that game, the fans are chanting, "We want Peck." And it was incredible. And so that's the thing for sure that I'm most proud of and most humbled by, is just the way our players, I think, have represented the club really well, the way the fans have recognized it, and the way that we are. Look, I'm not gonna say we're back yet, but the way that we've really shown that we're going in a really strong direction.
That's really interesting that you said we're not back. We'll hit on that a little bit later, Will. But just switching gears a little bit, From SVP of player personnel, now as the GM, you're living your dream of wanting to work for this organization. You've expressed on multiple interviews how much you were looking forward to being part of this team's rise back to the top. And we know you're a sports junkie with a legal background. So, Will, are you in your dream job right now? Is this your dream job? And has your time at the Galaxy so far met or even exceeded your expectations?
Yeah, I mean, I think my dream job is like five-star exotic resort travel writer, but this is about as awesome as you can get, as close as you can get to it in the world of sports, right? I mean, when I came to MLS, like I said, 10 years ago, this was a place that I knew I wanted to be, because the Galaxy is just, there are a lot of similarities between what the Galaxy were and what the Yankees were. Scale is not necessarily the same, but and look, this is the reason why, all the things I was talking about, the city, the fans, the history. I'm not going to lie, it's a lot easier to get players to come play in Los Angeles than it is in a lot of other markets in the U.S. No shade at them. Even New York, where I'm from, I don't think it's quite the same. And yeah, it's just such a great project. It's such a great ownership group. There's support throughout the organization. Tom Braun's doing incredible things on their side of the house. So yeah, I can't imagine things being better than this.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you think about now, just kind of taking a retrospective look back at the season. I mean, the turnaround from 13th last year to this year has been incredible. And MLS pundits didn't have the Galaxy ranked even in the top 4, not even top 6. Well, I don't know if you read the papers.
I think Ricky saw that. I think I saw a tweet from Ricky about that.
Yeah, I think Ricky might have picked up on it.
I think he did pick up on it. And in fact, we've had guests on the show, Will, the likes of Marcelo Balboa, the likes of Tom Bogert, and they said they didn't expect the success to come as soon as it did. So in the first year of what is supposed to be a rebuilding year for the LA Galaxy, at least amongst the crowd, amongst the public, do you think this team is ahead of schedule, finishing with 64 points and second in the West? And did you expect this team to gel so quickly coming out of CVI in the preseason?
I mean, like 64 points is a lot of points, and I don't know that I would have said we'd be necessarily there 10 months ago. But when you look back at last year, I know it's tough, and there are a lot of hard memories. But the way I think that from basically the 15 game mark on, we really competed well, put up a lot of points per game. Didn't finish quite the way we wanted to, but there was a really strong effort from the group, and the core that stayed were willing to carry that on. And so we knew we had that as a starting point, right? Whether that's Ricky, whether that's Maya, whether that's Gaston, Markey, Dayon, we had a lot of guys here who had shown that they had quality or were competitive in what was a really difficult time, and then being able to add on top of that, so again, maybe not 64 points, but really felt that we had a team that would be certainly in the top 4 in the conference, get a home game. That was always our unstated goal. But, that after that first game, when we're in the locker room after Miami, you could just tell that the vibe with the group, the focus was different. Nobody was sort of sitting back saying, oh man, we drew Messi. Everybody was pissed, right? And it was just like, I can't believe that Markey got that red card. I can't believe that, we weren't able to get the win. And I've said this before a couple places. I just remember J Mac saying, guys, if we play like this, we will beat a lot of teams. And, so maybe not coming into January, but as soon as we played that game against Miami, it was like, oh, this group has it. And then I think the next week was San Jose, right? And on the road, and you could just, Joe making it happen. And it was like, yeah, this is going to be sort of everything we thought it could be.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because, you talked about that start, and we had a really, really good start to the season. But you said something really interesting recently on the Excellent Leadership podcast. You said that you thrive on that unique aspect of sport where every day you're getting better or worse, and we have a chance to prove ourselves on the weekend. So after the events of this last weekend, how important is that mantra to you?
Yeah, it's that last weekend's a great example, right? That locker room after the game in Houston was like being at a wake, and even when guys came in, we had Monday off, guys came in on Tuesday, and it was still almost like we were mourning, right? But now we get to put it behind us, right? Now we take a new test, and it's a more important test. And what Greg said after the game was right. He said, look, this one costs you the Western Conference, the next one costs you the season. right? And like you never want to say, you never want to feel good about losing a game, especially when we gave so much. But that's right. Now it's there, and look, that our plan is to make that the last game we lose, right? So it's a really good, call a warning shot or a wake up call, but we also don't have time to dwell, right? Because Colorado's not going to feel bad for us,
right?
And they're coming in to do whatever they can. Look, and you saw in the first 5-10 minutes of the game, right? Houston was like, hey, we're not going to try and let you guys play your game, right? We're gonna kick you, we're gonna pull you, we're gonna grab you, we're gonna force the referee into a tough spot. I think we've seen historically that the playoffs are a period of time where the refs kind of swallow the whistles a little bit. So we also have to be prepared for the reality of the situation. The teams know it's suicide to try and match up with us toe to toe, and if we are feeling just an ounce bad for ourselves or we're stuck in the past, we're going to get literally punched in the face or kicked in the shin. So we got to make sure that we put that behind us, channel that anger in a good way. And I think it's been an awesome week of training from the group, and look to take out some of that frustration and start fresh on Saturday.
And for the chat out there and the Galaxy fans out there, I was out at training today, and let me tell you, the boys do look relaxed. They do look happy. They look like they're about their business. Well, you kind of touched on this already, but the reconnection with the fans is very, very evident. I talk on this podcast all the time about how I've covered the team for about 4 years now, and this is the first year, or really at the start of last year, at the start of, I guess, what we would call your tenure, your administration, things started to feel a lot more transparent. We started seeing yourself in the press box, not only yourself, but part of the scouting team, Gordon Kleshin and others. Fans have said that they've been super impressed and in awe of you going up to them in away matches and saluting them and coming up to where they're sitting. So, given the tumultuous, last season that was last year, was that among your priorities to start the year, is that reconnection with the fans, or maybe that transparency of saying, this is who the Galaxy is, this is our culture, and it doesn't change for anybody?
Yeah, I think it's just important for me to introduce myself and look, I'm a Brooklyn guy. I think it's really important to be real and authentic, and we owe everything to our fans. So when our fans travel to St. Louis and it is, hot as can be and humid at whatever it is, a 1 o'clock kickoff, that's awesome, right? We should go celebrate them. When you see people, walk around the stadium and they shout you out, you want to send that love back. You guys in the press box before a game, I mean, you're covering the team, you're following us. We appreciate it, right? Like that, you're asking questions, you're staying on top of the pulse. I try to recognize everything, because when I was making a decision about what to do with my career, I mean, these are the sources that I go to, right? To hear what you're saying, to hear what's being talked about in the discourse. And look, and we got to be appreciative, right? Like, this is not just me. It's not just soccer ops. It's not just a team. It's everybody. It's a club, and that means a lot, right? Like I don't say it lightly. Like, I am proud to be working here. This is a big club, like, and everybody should be feeling that way, right? Eventually, we want to become like the bullies again. I heard you guys talking on Monday or Tuesday, right? Like how it seems like every fan base was against us. Like, of course, right? Like that's the way it is with the Dodgers and the Yankees and the Cowboys, right? Like your fans love you, but everybody else is sick of it. And so, we got to take a lot of pride in what we have here. And again, like, I'm just honored to be a part of it. So, it's not so much me trying to be transparent, but it's just me trying to spread what I feel, the love I feel, the excitement I feel, in the only way I know how.
Well, I know a lot of people in chat are going to be happy to hear a lot of those words, Will.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, Will, I know we have just a couple minutes with you, so just a couple last ones for you. But I did promise I wanted to go back to this, right? So this idea of, are the Galaxy back? I mean, of course, the Galaxy ended last season in a really tough way, 13th in the West, which means coming into this season, the Galaxy have actually missed the playoffs in the last 7 years. I know that's a stat that none of us want to hear sort of repeating in our heads, right? But, all season long, it's been interesting. There's been that debate amongst us Galaxy fans on this podcast, on others as well, on X. I mean, are the Galaxy back? And earlier in the year, one of Rob's personal heroes was on the show, Mr. Joe Totino himself. He mentioned that the standard of the Galaxy team to be back is winning in titles. So do you agree with Joe? And I guess you kind of alluded to it earlier, but how would you approach answering the question of, are the Galaxy back?
Yeah, I'll go. I'll dial it all the way back to my professional start, right, with the Yankees. And I was talking to my mentor Brian Cashman earlier this week. Look, the Yankees, the standard is winning a championship, right? And there's been a 15-year drought since the last time they won, and I don't think in that time anybody would say, hey, like not that they went anywhere, but they're not back, right? For me, the Galaxy being back is winning MLS Cup, standing on that podium with the confetti shooting behind you, and saying, hey, like we were top of the mountain, right? That's that to me is the Galaxy being all the way back, right? And it's not to say that we're not appreciative of or proud of what we've done, but look, if the season ends tomorrow, nobody's gonna sit here and say, hey, we did everything we could, right? Or this was the best it could be. So, it's a high bar. It doesn't always make for the most celebratory, the most fun, right? You come back after a win and maybe people are feeling really happy and we're thinking about what could we have done better, but that's the rabbit we're chasing, right? And so, look, we are up among the best teams in the league again. I feel comfortable saying that, but the Galaxy's place is at the top, right? We were the first to 5. I'm trying to be the first to 5 more, and so that's the goal.
I super like that. First to 5 more. That's the goal. You heard it here first, LA Galaxy fans. There's hindsight is 2020, and after every decision, after every game, people say, I would have done this, I would have done that, or I would have signed this player or that player. You're actually the guy in charge. So take us into the mind of a GM. What's the process like? I know earlier in the season when we spoke, when you guys signed Marco Reus, I asked you if you guys were done adding, and you said for the moment yes, but you guys were already in the process of looking towards the next window. So do you guys already have a specific region in mind, players in mind? Does that change depending on what happens in the playoffs with the team? How does it all go down?
Yeah, I was talking with Mikkel Dencher and Oliver Curry in our office today, because this is the hardest part of the season, right? Because we, on the front office side, because we have basically no control, right? We know our technical staff is doing great work with the players, getting them ready for big matches to come. We can have a sense of what we'd like to do as far as adding players, but we can't really do it now. And even if you start going down the road with a player who's maybe in a different country, a lot of things can change between now and January, right? So we have to cast as wide a net as possible. And right now it's a lot of watching games, a lot of talking to different contacts to source names and get our depth charts ready, right? And then, of course, the MLS of it all, it's like, okay, you might need an option to U22, an option that's a salary budget player, an option that's a senior minimum player, right? So it's not just the positions, it's the buckets of classifications that they're in. But we're trying to source all that stuff now because I think we saw a little bit last winter, right? Our first targets didn't necessarily go the way we wanted to, and that's the reality of it, right? So you can't just line up 1 or 2 guys. You got to make sure you have a deep stable of guys, but it also takes a lot of work, right? Not just who they are on the field, but what they're like as people off of it. So it's a really busy time, but I wish I could say that the list that we have now are going to be the ones that we roll out with, but the reality is, the season's got to finish, and then things can start happening. So it's frustrating for us. It's exciting, but it's kind of like we got to hurry up and wait. The good news is we got playoff games, hopefully 5 playoff games to watch. So
yeah, and hopefully at the end of that, the team will be lifting the 6th. Just from us to you, we got to let you know that everyone out there in Galaxylandia has said that you've knocked it out of the park with the signings. I think the quote has been, he's done miracles on us. So I think they're going to trust that you're going to hit it out of park again. We want to thank you so much for coming on with us today. We know you got to get out of here. We know you have some kids probably put to bed, and you want to hang out with your fam. So thank you so much, Will, for joining us tonight, and good luck to you and the team on Saturday against Colorado.
Guys, I really appreciate you having me on. Ananda, have a safe trip. Rob, I'll see you on Saturday.
I will see you on Saturday.